As fantasy creators, things like dragons and magic are so much fun to deal with, but one of the elements that creates immersion like nothing else is in fact holidays. I'm here talking about the specific holidays in your fantasy world, of course. How do you go about creating one? Well, let's get into it. Hi guys, my name is Jesper and welcome to the Fane of Fantasy. This channel is all about giving you inspiration to master your craft and create fantasy that will truly immerse your audience. It's getting warmer here in Denmark at the moment and it feels as if summer has arrived. I don't know if that is what drove me to focus on today's topic, but holidays are actually a pretty neat device you can play with in your world building. I still remember when I watched the first episode of the series called The 100 on Netflix, and there was a scene where we go through a room where some sort of holiday celebration takes place. The main character just passes through, but as the camera follows, we hear some of the lore related to this setting. This is just such a nice, subtle way of getting around the issue of info dumping and actually make it relevant instead. But how do you go about creating a world unique holiday? A holiday is a celebration of a past event, so it's only natural to look at the history you've created for your world. Is there a particular event that are relevant and also important? Perhaps some kind of religious happening like the birth or the death of one of the gods. Or maybe it was a militaristic nature, the end of a war or some kind of famous battle. The uncovering of a world-renowned artifact could also give grounds for a holiday, as long as it is somehow relevant to the story you want to tell. In our real world, holidays has also been centered around times of harvesting, so you could use something like that if you want to. Basically, your options are just plentiful and it's only your imagination that sets the limit. No matter what, the key lies in ensuring that the holiday is relevant to the character. But you shouldn't forget about society either. If society views the holiday as particularly important, it will probably last a longer while. In this case, decide whether we are talking about days or perhaps even weeks of holidays. Also, what sort of preparation would be required. In case the holiday is a minor event, it will probably still affect a considerable amount of people in your society, but it perhaps doesn't require much preparation and isn't a notable investment as such. And of course, your third and last option is that the holiday is merely something trivial. It maybe only lasts a few hours and most people don't participate in it. What you're doing here is basically establishing the level of the holiday's significance. And you might ask, why is that important? Well, it allows you to easily determine how widespread and time-consuming the holiday is. And again, you might ask, why is that then important? Well, because it's a great source for tension between characters. We all know the stress of holiday preparations, and this can be used to trigger conflict, and with conflict comes story. You see how that works really neatly? While you're having these conflicts, you have just handed yourself a tool to tell backstory about 1. Your world, because this is what the holiday is all about, and 2. Tell backstory about your characters, The reason for them fighting is because of something that happened in the past. And 3, it shows your audience the culture of this particular nation. 3 things wrapped up in one right there. That's really doing double duty, and it's way better than having to stop to explain what the holiday is all about. You know, experiencing holidays through the characters and through conflict as a delivery mechanism is like 1000% better. Once you have all that in place, it's time to decide on one element that will make this holiday stand out. This could be the types of clothing people wear, perhaps some special contests are held. Are there some ritual sayings that people do? It could be anything basically, and music often has a role to play in holidays, so that's another thing you can consider. The most important part is not what it is, it's that the what serves as a conduit to show the audience something about the culture. Something unique that kind of defines the culture as its core. So like Mongolian horse archers, I talked about those guys in another video, but I'm bringing them back up here just because I think they are so awesome. But the Mongolian horse archers would probably have some really cool ritual that would involve archery, I would imagine. So you see, what you're doing here is showing your audience what these people are truly about, and you're doing so without beating them over the head with it. In this respect, holidays can serve some many purposes in your world, and quite honestly, I think they are often overlooked and not used nearly enough. Your holiday should have a cool name too. There is nothing wrong with being a bit mysterious here. So if the name of the holidays gives a reference to a person or a place your audience isn't familiar with yet, that only wakes some curiosity. As an example, so in ancient Greek and Roman mythology, you had a holiday called the Cronia. Doesn't that make you wonder what that is all about? The name just delivered as intended here. So if you are truly curious about what the Cronia is about, I can tell you that it was an Athenian festival held in honor of Cronus. He was the leader and youngest of the first generation of Titans, the divine descendants of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. I talked about them in another video too. It just seems everything kind of comes full circle today for some reason. In nearly all fields and towns, people feasted during this Cronus thing. You know, slaves and the free, rich and the poor all dined together and played games such as dice and board games. For this brief time, all social restraints were temporarily forgotten. I honestly don't think that the creation of holidays needs to be more complicated than that. And given how fairly easy it is, at least if you go by the approach that I've been talking about here in this video, it's quite surprising that we don't see more often or not see holidays more often used in fantasy. I have a few more reflections to share, but before doing that, I just want to remind you that if this is your first time here, do make sure to subscribe and learn to master the craft of creating immersing fantasy worlds, settings, and characters. I share new videos every single Monday. If you are under time pressure, you could also draw from real world holidays. You know, change the name and perhaps a few key items to make the holidays seem different. This is of course the lazy version of holiday creation, and usually us world builders have the opposite problem, you know, that we build too much and in way too much detail. So I don't see myself creating a holiday on the basis of one that already exists in the real world, but maybe that is something that would work for you. At the end of the day, holidays helps people to remember past events. People simply forget. The original point of the holiday is lost to them and becomes less important, and they put more emphasis on the fact that they have some time off. Christmas was originally a pagan feast day, for instance. It's normal that people forget over time, so that is another element you can be creative with and bring into play. So how you do that, I will leave to you. Or you know what, even better, drop your thoughts in the comment section below so that it can inspire others, and that way we can help one another. In personal and writing news, I don't have that much new to share this week. I'm still working on module 6 of our world building course, and there are so many parts in this module that it's just unbelievable. One thing is certain though, and that is how it's jam-packed with advice and how-to content. I think I'll leave it at that. To stay in touch, don't forget to follow me on social media if you haven't done so already. Stay safe out there and see you next Monday.